The first day of second grade, 7-year-old Lily walked through the doors of Riverside Elementary with a social worker by her side. Her shoes were too small, pinching her toes with every step. The backpack on her shoulders was held together with safety pins because the zipper had broken months ago. Nobody had bothered to get her a new one. This was her third foster home in 2 years. The family she stayed with now had 4 other kids, and they made it clear that Lily was just another mouth to feed. They weren't mean exactly. They just didn't have time to care. While other kids ran to their parents after school, hugging them tight and chattering about their day, Lily walked slowly to the bus. She'd watch those families and wonder what it felt like to have someone waiting just for you, someone who smiled when they saw your face. Most days she missed the bus on purpose. The house she stayed at was loud and chaotic, and nobody really noticed if she came home an hour late. So she'd wander the empty hallways of the school, dragging her fingers along the lockers, pretending she had somewhere important to be. That's when she first noticed Mrs. Rosa. Rosa was the evening janitor, a woman in her early 50s with gray streaks in her dark hair and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. She wore the same navy blue uniform every day and pushed a yellow cleaning cart from room to room. Most people didn't even look at her. To them, she was invisible, just part of the building like the walls and floors. But Lily saw her. She watched as Rosa carefully wiped down each desk, humming softly to herself. She noticed how Rosa would pick up dropped pencils and place them neatly on the teacher's desk. How she'd straighten the books on the classroom shelves even though that wasn't part of her job. One evening, Rosa looked up and found Lily standing in the doorway of the third-grade classroom. "Hello there," Rosa said with a warm smile. "You're here late," Lily shrugged. "I missed my bus." "Ah, I see." Rosa continued mopping, the rhythmic swish of the mop filling the quiet room. "Does that happen often?" Another shrug. Lily had learned not to give real answers to adults. They either didn't care or they'd ask more questions that made things complicated, but Rosa didn't push. She just smiled and went back to work. The next day, Lily missed the bus again, and the day after that. Each time she'd find Rosa working somewhere in the building. They didn't talk much at first. Lily would just sit on the floor in whatever room Rosa was cleaning, doing her homework or doodling in the margins of her notebook. After a week of this, Rosa started leaving things in Lily's locker. A granola bar, a juice box, a package of crackers with peanut butter. Never anything fancy, but always something good. Lily didn't know how Rosa knew which locker was hers. She didn't know how Rosa got it open, but every morning there'd be something waiting. One day, Lily worked up the courage to ask, "Why do you give me food?" Rosa was emptying a trash can. She paused and looked at Lily with those kind eyes, because everyone deserves to know that somebody's thinking about them, that somebody cares. Something cracked open in Lily's chest. A tiny crack, but it was there. From then on, she started following Rosa on her cleaning rounds. She'd carry the spray bottles or hold the dustpan while Rosa swept. They'd talk about small things. The weather. The funny drawing someone had left on a desk. The bird's nest outside the library window. Rosa never asked about Lily's home life. Never pried about why a 7-year-old preferred hanging around a janitor instead of going home. She just made space for Lily in her evening routine, and that space felt safer than anywhere else. The other kids at school started to notice. During lunch one day, a group of girls from Lily's class pointed and whispered. One of them, a girl named Ashley with perfect braids and a designer backpack, walked over to Lily's table. "Why do you hang out with the janitor?" Ashley asked, her nose wrinkled. "She's weird, and she cleans toilets." Lily felt her face get hot. "She's nice to me." "She's just a janitor," another girl chimed in. "My mom says janitors are for people who didn't finish school." Lily wanted to say something back, something sharp that would make them leave her alone. But the words stuck in her throat. She just stared down at her lunch tray until the girls got bored and walked away. That afternoon, she told Rosa what happened. They were in the art room and Rosa was scrubbing dried paint off the tables. "Does it bother you?" Lily asked. "That people think being a janitor isn't important?" Rosa stopped scrubbing and looked at Lily. Really looked at her. "You know what I think? I think every job is important if you do it with care. I make sure these classrooms are clean so kids like you can learn in a good space. That matters to me." She smiled. "And the opinions of little girls who don't know any better? Those don't matter to me at all." Lily smiled too. It was small, but it was real. As weeks turned into months, Lily stopped trying to catch the bus altogether. She'd find Rosa right after school and they'd start their routine. Rosa taught her how to sweep properly, making neat piles instead of just pushing dirt around. She showed Lily how to clean windows without leaving streaks. They'd race to see who could empty the most trash cans. For the first time in her life, Lily felt like she belonged somewhere. Not in a house or with a family, but in those quiet evening hours with Rosa, in the empty school that smelled like floor cleaner and old books. Rosa never promised her anything, never said she'd always be there. But every single day she was. And slowly, that tiny crack in Lily's chest started to open wider, letting in something she'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. On Lily's 8th birthday, Rosa gave her a cupcake with a single candle. They sat in the cafeteria after Rosa had finished mopping, and Rosa sang happy birthday in a soft, slightly off-key voice. "Make a wish," Rosa said. Lily closed her eyes. She didn't wish for a real family or a forever home. She'd learned those wishes didn't come true. Instead, she wished that Rosa would always be there, that she'd never leave. She blew out the candle and Rosa clapped. Neither of them knew it then, but that simple wish would shape both of their lives in ways neither could imagine. All Lily knew was that for the first time, someone had remembered her birthday. And that was enough. 3 years passed and Lily's life became a revolving door of temporary homes. By the time she turned 11, she'd lived in 6 different foster houses. Some families were okay, some were not. None of them felt like home. But Rosa remained constant. When Lily moved to a new foster home across town and had to switch schools for 5th grade, she cried for the first time in years. Not because she was leaving another temporary family, because she was leaving Rosa. On her last day at Riverside Elementary, Rosa found her sitting on the front steps after school, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. "Hey now," Rosa said softly, sitting down beside her. "What's all this?" "I have to go to a new school," Lily managed to say between hiccups. "I won't see you anymore." Rosa was quiet for a moment. Then she pulled a piece of paper from her pocket. "This is my phone number. You call me anytime you want. Morning, evening, middle of the night. I don't care. You call me, okay?" Lily took the paper with trembling hands. "Really?" "Really." Rosa pulled Lily into a hug and Lily buried her face in Rosa's uniform. It smelled like cleaning products and something else, something warm that Lily couldn't name but that made her feel safe. The new school was bigger and colder. The kids already had their friend groups and nobody seemed interested in the quiet foster kid who wore clothes from donation bins. Lily ate lunch alone, did her homework in the library and counted the hours until she could call Rosa. They talked every evening. Rosa would ask about Lily's day, her classes, whether she'd made any friends. Lily would mostly say no, everything was fine, school was okay. But hearing Rosa's voice made the loneliness a little less heavy. Then, 6 months into 5th grade, something shifted. Lily's foster mom got a call from the school. Lily was failing math. If she didn't bring her grade up, she might be held back. The foster mom sighed like Lily was just another problem to deal with. "Figure it out," she said. "I don't have time to help you with homework." That night, Lily called Rosa in tears. "I don't understand fractions. I'm so stupid. I'm going to fail." "You're not stupid," Rosa said firmly. "Not even a little bit. Math is hard. But you know what? I'm pretty good at it. Why don't we work on it together?" "How?" "You're not here. I'll come to you." And she did. 3 times a week, Rosa would drive 30 minutes after finishing her shift at Riverside Elementary to meet Lily at the public library near her foster home. They'd spread out Lily's homework on a table in the corner, and Rosa would patiently explain fractions, decimals, and percentages. "See, math is just a different language," Rosa would say. "Once you learn how to speak it, it's not so scary." Slowly, Lily's grade improved. By the end of the year, she'd passed with a C+. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers, earned through hard work and late nights at the library. When middle school started, things got harder. 6th grade brought new challenges, not just in school but in life. Lily's current foster home was crowded and chaotic. The parents fought constantly, their voices echoing through thin walls late into the night. Lily would stuff her pillow over her head and try to disappear into sleep. She started acting out at school. Nothing terrible, but enough to get noticed. Talking back to teachers, skipping classes, getting into arguments with other students. The school counselor called her in one day. "What's going on with you, Lily? Your teachers say you're bright, but you're not applying yourself. You're angry all the time." Lily stared at the floor. How could she explain that anger was easier than sadness? That if she let herself feel everything, she'd break apart completely? "I'm fine," she muttered. The counselor sighed. "Is there anyone you talk to?"
Anyone who helps you?
Lily thought of Rosa. Yeah, there's someone. That night she called Rosa and told her everything. About the fighting at her foster home. About feeling invisible and angry and tired all the time. About not seeing the point in trying. Rosa listened without interrupting. When Lily finally went quiet, Rosa spoke softly. "You know what I see when I look at you? I see a fighter, a survivor. You've been through more in 11 years than most people go through in a lifetime, and you're still here, still showing up. That takes strength." "I don't feel strong," Lily whispered. "Strength isn't about feeling strong all the time. It's about getting up every day even when you don't want to, and you do that. Every single day." Something in Rosa's words settled into Lily's bones. She wasn't okay, not really. But maybe she didn't have to be okay all the time. Maybe just surviving was enough. 7th grade brought another move. This time to a foster family that was different from the others. They were older, empty nesters who'd decided to foster because their own kids were grown. They weren't warm or affectionate, but they were stable. The house was quiet. The meals were regular. It was the closest thing to normal Lily had ever experienced. Rosa still came to see her twice a week, now helping with pre-algebra and English essays. They'd meet at a coffee shop and Rosa would buy them hot chocolate while they worked. Other customers probably thought they were grandmother and granddaughter. Neither of them corrected that assumption. One evening, as they were packing up their books, Lily said something she'd been thinking about for weeks. "Can I call you Mom?" Rosa's hand froze halfway to her coffee cup. She looked at Lily with wide eyes. "What?" Lily's face burned. "Never mind. It's stupid. I shouldn't have—" "No." Rosa reached across the table and took Lily's hand. Her eyes were shiny with tears. "No, it's not stupid at all. Are you sure?" Lily nodded. "You're more of a mom to me than anyone's ever been. You show up, you care. You remember my birthday and help me with homework and listen when I'm sad. That's what moms do, right?" Rosa's tears spilled over. She squeezed Lily's hand. "Then yes. Yes, you can call me Mom." From that day forward, that's what Lily called her. Not in public, not at first, but in their phone calls and during their study sessions, Rosa became Mom. And for Rosa, who'd lost her own daughter to leukemia 15 years earlier, Lily filled a hole in her heart she thought would always be empty. By 8th grade, Lily had transformed. Her grades improved dramatically. She joined the school newspaper and discovered she liked writing. She made a few friends, girls who didn't care that she was in foster care or that she wore secondhand clothes, but more than that, she had hope. Real, tangible hope for the future. One night, curled up on the couch in her foster home, she told Rosa her dream. "I want to be a teacher. Like, for real. I want to help kids who feel invisible the way you helped me." Rosa's voice on the phone was thick with emotion. "You'll be an amazing teacher. The best kind, because you'll understand what it's like to struggle. Do you think I can actually do it? Go to college and everything?" "I know you can," Rosa said without hesitation. "You're smart and determined, and you have a heart bigger than anyone I've ever met. College is absolutely in your future." Lily held on to those words like a lifeline. High school started with new possibilities. Lily threw herself into her studies, determined to make her dream real. She took advanced classes, volunteered as a tutor for younger kids, and maintained a solid GPA. Rosa was there for all of it. Every award ceremony, every parent-teacher conference, every moment that mattered. She'd sit in the audience in her janitor uniform, clapping louder than anyone else. Other students' parents would glance at Rosa with confusion or sometimes disdain. Who was this janitor woman cheering for a foster kid? But Lily didn't care what they thought. Rosa was her mom in every way that mattered, and that was enough. As junior year approached, Lily started researching colleges. She wanted to stay in-state to stay close to Rosa, and she found a good education program at the state university. The problem was money. Even with financial aid, the cost seemed impossible. Her foster parents made it clear they wouldn't help beyond her 18th birthday. "You're not really our responsibility," they said, not unkindly but matter-of-factly. "We've done what we can." Lily understood. She'd always known that foster care had an expiration date. When she turned 18, she'd age out of the system, and then she'd be truly on her own. She started applying for every scholarship she could find. She took extra shifts at her part-time job at a fast food restaurant. She saved every penny, watching her bank account grow with painful slowness. Rosa noticed the stress. "What's wrong? You seem worried all the time," Lily tried to smile. "Just thinking about next year, about college and money and everything." "It'll work out," Rosa said. "You'll see. Sometimes the universe provides when we need it most." Lily wanted to believe her, but as senior year approached, the gap between her savings and what she'd need seemed wider than ever. She started wondering if maybe college wasn't meant for her after all. Maybe she'd have to work for a few years, save up, and try later. But she didn't tell Rosa that. She didn't want to disappoint the one person who'd always believed in her. What Lily didn't know was that Rosa was making plans of her own. Plans that would change both of their lives forever. Senior year arrived like a ticking clock. Every day brought Lily closer to graduation and further from her dream of college. The acceptance letter from State University came in March, thick and promising. Lily had been accepted into their education program with a partial scholarship based on her grades and essay about wanting to help foster children. She should have been thrilled. Instead, she felt her stomach drop when she saw the numbers. The scholarship covered about half the costs. The remaining amount, even with financial aid and student loans, was still thousands of dollars she didn't have. Lily sat on her bed in her foster home, staring at the letter until the words blurred. She'd worked so hard. 4 years of straight A's, volunteering, tutoring, working part-time while keeping up with homework, and it still wasn't enough. She called Rosa, trying to keep her voice steady. "I got in. That's wonderful." Rosa's joy was genuine and bright. "Oh, Lily, I'm so proud of you." "Yeah," Lily swallowed hard. The money part is complicated. We'll figure it out," Rosa said firmly. "Don't you worry about that now. Just celebrate. You got into college." That's huge, but Lily couldn't celebrate. She spent the next few weeks applying for more scholarships, picking up extra shifts at work and crunching numbers that never quite added up. Her 18th birthday came and went. With it came the reality that she'd soon age out of foster care and need to find her own place to live. Adding rent to the list of expenses she couldn't afford, she started seriously considering deferring college for a year. Maybe 2. Work full-time, save aggressively, and try again later. When she mentioned this to Rosa during one of their study sessions at the coffee shop, Rosa's face went pale. "No," Rosa said sharply. "You're not putting this off. You've worked too hard." "I don't have a choice," Lily said, frustrated. "I can't pay for something I can't afford. That's just reality." Rosa was quiet for a long moment, stirring her coffee with intense concentration. Finally, she looked up. "Let me see what I can do. I might know some people who can help." "Mom, you don't have to. Just give me some time," Rosa interrupted. "Promise me you won't make any decisions yet. Can you do that?" Lily nodded, even though she felt like she was asking too much. Rosa had already given her so much over the years. The thought of her doing more made Lily's chest ache with guilt. What Lily didn't know was that Rosa had already been making plans. Quiet, careful plans that she'd kept hidden for months. The next morning, Rosa requested a meeting with Principal Davidson at Riverside Elementary, where she still worked. She'd known him for over a decade, and he'd always treated her with respect, unlike some administrators she'd worked for. In his office, Rosa explained the situation. A girl she'd mentored for 10 years had gotten into college but couldn't afford to go. She wanted to help but needed the school's assistance with something specific. "I'd like to set up an anonymous scholarship," Rosa said, "through the school, for students aging out of foster care. I can fund it, but I need it to be anonymous. The recipient can't know it's from me." Principal Davidson studied her carefully. "How much are we talking about?" Rosa named a figure that made his eyebrows rise. It was enough to cover Lily's remaining costs for all 4 years of college. "That's very generous," he said slowly. "May I ask where you're getting this money?" Rosa's smile was sad but determined. "I've been saving for a long time, and I have some things I can sell." What she didn't mention was exactly what those things were. For the next 3 weeks, Rosa moved through her plan with quiet efficiency. She started with her late husband's vinyl record collection, something she'd treasured for the 15 years since his death. Miguel had been a music lover, collecting rare jazz and blues records from the 1950s and 60s. Some of them were worth serious money to collectors. She found a dealer who specialized in vintage records. Watching him flip through Miguel's collection, handling the albums her husband had cherished, made her throat tight. But she thought of Lily's face when she talked about becoming a teacher, and she didn't hesitate. "I'll take them all," the dealer said. "I can offer you $8,000 for the lot." Rosa nodded and signed the paperwork. Next came her mother's jewelry. Rosa's mother had passed away 5 years earlier, leaving her a collection of gold necklaces, rings, and a stunning vintage brooch that had been in their family for 3 generations. Rosa had planned to pass these items down to her own daughter someday, but her daughter had died at 12, and there was no one else to give them to. Except now there was Lily. The jewelry dealer gave her another $6,000. Rosa looked at the empty velvet boxes one last time before leaving the shop. She sold her husband's fishing equipment, his tools, her own small collection of first edition books. She took on extra cleaning jobs on weekends, working 7 days a week instead of 5. She stopped buying anything for herself beyond the bare necessities, living on rice, beans, and whatever vegetables were on sale. Her savings account, which had held about $12,000 from years of careful living, combined with the money from selling her possessions, gave her just enough. She transferred it all to Principal Davidson for the anonymous scholarship fund. He called her into his office when the money cleared. "Are you sure about this? This is your life savings." "I'm sure," Rosa said. "This is what the money is for. To help someone who needs it." He sighed but nodded. "I'll set it up through the district's scholarship program. It'll come from community donors, so it's completely anonymous. She'll never know it was you." "Good," Rosa said. "That's how it should be." What Rosa didn't tell Principal Davidson, what she didn't tell anyone, was that she'd also skipped 3 doctor's appointments that spring. She'd noticed a lump in her breast back in January, right around the time Lily had started stressing about college money. She'd gone to one appointment, and the doctor had been concerned enough to order a mammogram. But mammograms cost money, and Rosa had other priorities. She told herself it was probably nothing, that she'd get it checked out after Lily was settled in school. She ignored the ache that was slowly getting worse. She ignored the fatigue that made her evening shifts harder than they used to be. She had a job to finish first. In late April, Lily got a call from the university's financial aid office. There was additional funding available for her, they said. An anonymous community scholarship specifically for students aging out of foster care. It would cover her remaining costs for all 4 years of her undergraduate program. Lily stood in her foster home's kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, unable to speak. The financial aid counselor asked if she was still there. "Yes," Lily managed. "I'm here. Are you sure? This is real?" "Very real," the counselor said warmly. "Someone believes in you. Congratulations." When Lily called Rosa that evening, she was crying so hard she could barely get the words out. "Mom, something amazing happened. I got another scholarship. A big one. I can go to college. I can actually go." Rosa closed her eyes, sitting on her couch in her small apartment. Her body ached, but her heart felt light. "That's wonderful, sweetheart, see? I told you the universe provides. I wish I knew who gave me this money," Lily said. "I want to thank them, to tell them what this means." "Maybe they don't need thanks," Rosa said softly. "Maybe they just wanted to help, and that's enough for them." Over the next few months, Lily prepared for college with new energy. She found a work-study job on campus, signed up for classes, and planned her dorm room. Rosa helped her shop for supplies, insisting on buying her new sheets, a good backpack, and a warm winter coat. "You've already done so much," Lily protested. "I can get these things used." "Absolutely not," Rosa said. "You're starting a new chapter. You deserve to start it right." On move-in day in August, Rosa drove Lily to campus. They hauled boxes up 3 flights of stairs to her dorm room, and Rosa helped her make the bed and organize her desk. When everything was done, they stood in the small room, both suddenly aware that everything was changing. "You're going to do amazing things here," Rosa said, pulling Lily into a hug. Lily held on tight. "I couldn't have done any of this without you. You know that, right? You saved my life." Rosa pulled back, cupping Lily's face in her hands. "No, sweetheart. You saved your own life. I just walked beside you while you did it. They promised to talk every week, to visit when they could. Rosa drove away that afternoon with tears streaming down her face, but they were good tears. Happy tears. She'd done it. She'd gotten her girl to college. Now, she thought as she touched the lump in her breast that had grown noticeably larger, now she could deal with her own problems. The next week, Rosa finally went back to the doctor. The mammogram led to a biopsy, which led to a diagnosis that she'd been dreading but somehow expected. Stage 3 breast cancer. Aggressive. It had spread to her lymph nodes. The oncologist laid out the treatment options, none of them cheap even with her insurance. Surgery, chemotherapy, radiation. The copays and deductibles would drain what little money she'd managed to save after the scholarship. "How long have you had this lump?" the doctor asked. "A while," Rosa admitted. The doctor's expression was a mix of frustration and sympathy. "If you'd come in when you first noticed it, we might have caught this earlier." "Why did you wait?" Rosa thought of Lily's smile when she'd gotten the scholarship news. "I had something more important to take care of first." She started treatment in September. The chemotherapy made her violently ill. She lost her hair. Her body, which had always been strong and capable, became weak and unreliable. Some days she could barely get out of bed, but she didn't tell Lily any of this. When they talked on the phone each week, Rosa asked about classes and roommates and college life. If Lily noticed that her voice sounded tired, Rosa blamed it on a busy week at work. If Lily asked why their video calls were audio only, Rosa said her camera was broken. She bought a wig that looked close to her natural hair color. She learned to do her makeup in ways that hid how gaunt her face had become. She was determined to protect Lily from this burden, at least until after her first year of college. Principal Davidson discovered the truth by accident when he visited Rosa in the hospital after a particularly rough round of chemo. He was furious in the way that scared, caring people get furious. "You sold everything you had for that scholarship," he said, "and now you can't afford to take care of yourself?" "I'm managing," Rosa said weakly. "This is ridiculous." He ran his hand through his hair. "I'm organizing a staff fundraiser." "Don't argue with me." Rosa tried to protest, but she was too tired. And truthfully, she needed help. The medical bills were crushing, and she'd had to reduce her hours at work because she was too sick to clean. The staff at Riverside Elementary rallied. They organized a fundraiser, spreading the word about the beloved janitor who needed help. Teachers, staff, parents, even former students contributed what they could. It wasn't enough to cover everything, but it was enough to help Rosa afford her treatment and keep her apartment. Through it all, Lily didn't know. Rosa made everyone promise not to tell her. "She needs to focus on school," Rosa insisted. "She's worked too hard to get there. I won't let her throw it away to worry about me." So Lily studied and went to classes and made new friends, unaware that the woman she called Mom was fighting for her life 300 miles away. Lily's first semester of college was everything she'd hoped for and more. Her introduction to education class ignited something in her, confirming that teaching was exactly where she belonged. She volunteered at a local elementary school, working with kids in the after-school program, and she felt more purposeful than ever before. She called Rosa every Sunday evening, their weekly tradition. They'd talk for an hour or more, with Rosa asking detailed questions about her classes, her professors, whether she was eating enough vegetables, if she'd made friends. "Tell me about your week," Lily would always ask. "What's new with you?" Rosa's answers were always vague. Work was fine. The weather was getting cold. She'd watched a good movie. Nothing specific. Nothing real. Lily noticed, but she told herself she was imagining things. Rosa had always been more interested in hearing about Lily's life than sharing her own. That was just who she was. But as fall turned to winter, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Rosa's voice sounded different. Tired in a way that went beyond normal exhaustion. Sometimes she'd pause mid-sentence as if gathering strength to continue, and she always had an excuse to keep their calls audio only. "Mom, can we video chat?" Lily asked one Sunday. "I miss your face. My camera's still broken," Rosa said quickly. "I keep meaning to get it fixed. For 3 months. Time gets away from me." Rosa changed the subject before Lily could push further. "Tell me more about your education psychology class." "That sounds fascinating." Lily let it go, but doubt gnawed at her. When Thanksgiving break came, Lily took the bus home, excited to spend 4 days with Rosa. They'd planned to have a quiet Thanksgiving dinner together, just the two of them. Rosa had insisted she'd cook all of Lily's favorites, but when Lily arrived at Rosa's apartment, she was shocked by what she saw. Rosa had lost weight. A lot of weight. Her clothes hung loose on her frame and her face looked hollow. She was wearing a hat inside, which was odd, and she moved slowly, carefully, like someone much older than 55. "Mom?" Lily dropped her bag by the door. "Are you okay? You look—" "I've had a bug," Rosa said, waving her hand dismissively. "Nothing serious. Just took a lot out of me. Come in, come in. I want to hear everything about school." Lily wanted to push, but Rosa steered the conversation away every time she tried. They cooked together, though Lily noticed Rosa had to sit down frequently. They watched movies and talked late into the night, and it was wonderful, but something felt off. The hat bothered Lily. Rosa wore it the entire time, even when she slept on the couch during a movie. When Lily asked about it, Rosa laughed and said she was having a bad hair day. 4 days wasn't enough to figure out what was wrong, and then Lily had to go back to school. She hugged Rosa goodbye at the bus station, and Rosa felt fragile in her arms, like she might break. "Take care of yourself," Lily said. "Please, you too, sweetheart. Study hard. Make me proud. I always do." On the bus back to campus, Lily couldn't stop thinking about Rosa's appearance. The weight loss, the exhaustion, the hat. Something was very wrong, and Rosa was hiding it from her. She tried to focus on her finals, but her mind kept drifting. She'd call Rosa and try to ask subtle questions about her health. Rosa deflected every time. Finally, Lily called Principal Davidson at Riverside Elementary. She'd met him a few times over the years when Rosa had brought her to school events. Maybe he'd know something. "Mr. Davidson, this is Lily. I'm calling about Rosa." There was a long pause. "What about her? Is she okay? She seems different, tired. I'm worried about her." Another pause, even longer this time. "You should talk to Rosa about that. I've tried. She won't tell me anything. Please, if you know something, I need to know. She's important to me." "I know she is." Principal Davidson sighed heavily. "But it's not my place to tell you. If Rosa wants you to know something, she'll tell you herself." "So there is something." Lily's heart started racing. "What is it? Is she sick?" "Lily, I really can't. Please." Her voice cracked. "She's all I have. If something's wrong, I need to know." The silence stretched so long Lily thought he might have hung up. Then finally, "Come see her over winter break. Really look at her. And then ask her directly. Don't let her change the subject. She needs to tell you herself." He hung up, leaving Lily with more questions than answers and a growing sense of dread. December crawled by. Lily aced her finals, but she couldn't celebrate. All she could think about was getting home and confronting Rosa about whatever she was hiding. When winter break finally came, Lily took the first bus home. She didn't tell Rosa she was coming early. She wanted to see her without warning, before Rosa could prepare whatever facade she'd been maintaining. She showed up at Rosa's apartment on a Tuesday afternoon. When Rosa opened the door, she wasn't wearing the hat. Her head was covered with a scarf, but it slipped as she reached out to hug Lily, revealing scalp that was completely bald beneath it. "Lily!" Rosa's surprise quickly turned to dismay as she adjusted the scarf. "I wasn't expecting you until tomorrow." Lily stared at her. Really stared. The weight loss was even more dramatic than at Thanksgiving. Rosa's cheekbones were sharp, her eyes sunken. She looked like she'd aged 10 years in 2 months. "Mom," Lily said slowly, stepping inside and closing the door. "What's going on?" "Nothing, don't." Lily's voice was firm. "Don't tell me it's nothing. Don't tell me you have a bug or you're tired. I can see you're sick. Really sick. And you've been hiding it from me." Rosa's face crumpled. She moved to the couch and sat down heavily, as if her legs couldn't support her anymore. "I didn't want you to worry. What is it?" Lily sat beside her, taking Rosa's thin hand in hers. "Tell me the truth." Rosa was quiet for a long moment, staring at their joined hands. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. "Cancer, breast cancer. Stage 3. The word hit Lily like a physical blow. Cancer. The thing that killed people. The thing that destroyed families. "How long have you known?" "I was diagnosed in September." "September?" Lily's voice rose. "You've been dealing with this alone for 4 months. Why didn't you tell me?" Because you just started college. Rosa's eyes were bright with tears. You were so happy doing so well. I didn't want to burden you with this. I didn't want you to feel like you had to come home and take care of me instead of living your life. I'm your daughter. Lily was crying now too. Maybe not by blood, but in every way that matters. You don't get to make decisions like this without telling me. You don't get to suffer alone to protect me. I'm sorry. Rosa pulled Lily into a hug. I'm so sorry. I just wanted you to have your dream. You worked so hard for it. They held each other and cried. Years of unspoken love and fear pouring out in that small living room. When they finally pulled apart, Lily wiped her eyes. Okay, tell me everything. What's the prognosis? What's the treatment plan? What do the doctors say? Rosa explained it all. The delayed diagnosis because she'd waited too long. The aggressive chemotherapy that had made her so sick. The upcoming surgery. The radiation that would follow. The fact that her prognosis was uncertain because they'd caught it late. But there was still hope. I'm in remission now, Rosa said. The chemo worked. But the doctors want to do surgery to make sure they get everything, and then radiation to prevent it from coming back. That's good, Lily said, trying to sound positive. Remission is good. It is. Rosa squeezed her hand. I'm going to fight this with everything I have. I promise. I'm going to help you. Lily's jaw was set with determination. I'm taking next semester off. Absolutely not. Mom, no. Rosa's voice was firm despite her weakness. You are not putting your education on hold for me. I won't allow it. I can't just leave you alone to deal with this. I'm not alone. Rosa explained about the staff fundraiser, about the people from Riverside who'd been helping her. I have support. What I need from you is to keep going, keep studying, keep working toward your dream. That's what will get me through this. Knowing that you're okay. They argued for hours. Lily insisted she needed to stay. Rosa insisted she needed to go back to school. Finally, they compromised. Lily would return to campus but would come home every other weekend. They'd video chat twice a week so Lily could see Rosa was okay. And if things got worse, Lily would come home immediately. No arguments. That night, lying in Rosa's guest room, Lily couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with questions. About cancer. About mortality. About how much time they might have left together. But one question kept nagging at her more than the others. That anonymous scholarship that had come at exactly the right time, covering exactly what she needed. The timing seemed too perfect. Too convenient. The next morning, Lily broached the subject carefully. Mom, can I ask you something about that scholarship I got? Rosa was making tea, her movements slow and careful. What about it? Do you know anything about it? About who funded it? Rosa's hand shook slightly as she poured hot water into mugs. Why would I know anything about that? Because the timing was perfect. I needed money, I mentioned it to you. And then suddenly there's this anonymous scholarship specifically for foster kids. It seems, I don't know, connected? Sometimes good things just happen, Rosa said, not meeting her eyes. Sometimes people want to help and they do. Mom. Lily waited until Rosa looked at her. Did you have something to do with that scholarship? I'm just a janitor, sweetheart. I don't have that kind of money. It wasn't exactly a denial, Lily noticed. But she let it go for now. There were bigger concerns than figuring out where the scholarship money had come from. Over winter break, Lily took care of Rosa in small ways. She cooked meals, did laundry, cleaned the apartment. She drove Rosa to doctor's appointments and sat with her through the exhaustion that followed. She saw firsthand how brutal cancer treatment was, how it stripped away Rosa's strength and dignity. But she also saw Rosa's determination, her refusal to give up, her fierce will to survive. I'm gonna beat this, Rosa said one night as they sat together watching old movies. I have to. I need to see you graduate. I need to see you become the teacher you're meant to be. You will, Lily promised, hoping desperately it was true. When it was time to return to campus in January, Lily almost couldn't do it. Leaving Rosa felt impossible. Go, Rosa said at the bus station. Learn, grow, live your life. I'll be here when you get back, promise? Rosa pulled her close. I promise I'll fight with everything I have. It wasn't quite the same as promising she'd be okay, Lily noticed. But it was all Rosa could honestly give. Back at school, Lily threw herself into her studies with renewed intensity. Every A she earned, every lesson she learned about teaching, felt like a tribute to Rosa, like proof that Rosa's sacrifices hadn't been in vain. But late at night, alone in her dorm room, Lily would lie awake and think about that scholarship. About Rosa's non-answer, about the timing. She started doing math in her head. How much money would an anonymous scholarship like that require? Tens of thousands of dollars. Where would that kind of money come from? Rosa was a janitor. She lived simply, drove an old car, wore the same clothes for years. But she'd always had enough. Until recently, Lily had never noticed Rosa struggling financially, unless she'd given everything away. The thought made Lily's stomach turn. She remembered Rosa's apartment, which had always been full of small treasures. Her late husband's record collection that she'd loved. Her mother's jewelry that she'd promised to pass down someday. Even just the little decorative items that had made the place feel like home. When had Lily last seen those things? She tried to remember her Thanksgiving visit, picturing Rosa's living room. The shelves had been emptier than she remembered. The walls that had once held family photos in nice frames now had different photos in cheap frames. Things had been disappearing, and Lily hadn't noticed because she'd been too focused on her own life. Spring semester passed in a blur of classes and worry. Lily visited every other weekend as promised, watching Rosa slowly regain some strength after the surgery. The radiation treatments were exhausting but less brutal than the chemo had been. By April, Rosa's doctors were cautiously optimistic. The cancer was gone as far as they could tell. She'd need monitoring for years, but she was officially in remission. Lily should have been relieved, and she was. But she also couldn't stop thinking about what Rosa had given up to get Lily to college. She couldn't stop feeling like there was a secret between them, one that Rosa was determined to keep. She decided to find out the truth, whatever it took. Not to confront Rosa, but to understand the full scope of what Rosa had done for her. She needed to know, even if Rosa never wanted her to. The answers she found would change everything. The search for answers started with a phone call to Principal Davidson. It was late April of Lily's sophomore year, and she'd been building up courage for weeks. "Mr. Davidson, I need to ask you something," Lily said when he answered. "And I need you to be honest with me, even if Rosa asked you not to tell me." He sighed. "Lily, the scholarship I received. The anonymous one for foster kids. Rosa funded it, didn't she?" The silence on the other end was answer enough. "How much?" Lily asked, her voice shaking. "How much did she give?" "I really shouldn't, please. I need to know what she sacrificed for me. I need to understand." Another long pause. Then quietly, "Everything." She gave everything. Her savings, her husband's record collection, her mother's jewelry. She sold or gave away everything of value she owned to create that scholarship fund. It was about $40,000 total. Lily felt like she'd been punched in the stomach. $40,000. Everything Rosa had in the world, every treasure, every memory. All for her and the cancer, Lily whispered. She delayed treatment because of the money, didn't she? "I don't know for certain," Principal Davidson said carefully. "But yes, I believe so. She noticed the lump months before she came to us about the scholarship. By the time she sought treatment, it had advanced significantly." Lily thanked him and hung up, then sat on her dorm room bed and cried until she had no tears left. Rosa had literally given up everything, including her own health, to give Lily a future. And she'd never wanted Lily to know. The weight of that sacrifice was almost unbearable. Over the next 2 years, Lily carried that knowledge like a stone in her chest. She never told Rosa she knew. She understood now why Rosa had kept it secret. Rosa hadn't wanted Lily to feel guilty or obligated. She'd wanted Lily to be free to pursue her dreams without the burden of debt, either financial or emotional. But Lily felt it anyway. Every class she attended, every good grade she earned, every step closer to becoming a teacher, she thought about what it had cost. Not just money, but Rosa's health, her treasured possessions, her security. It made Lily work harder. If Rosa had given up everything for this, then Lily would make absolutely certain it wasn't wasted. She made Dean's List every semester. She volunteered extensively at local schools. She became a peer mentor for other first-generation college students. She poured every ounce of herself into becoming the best teacher she could be. And through it all, Rosa slowly healed. The cancer stayed away. She remained weak, her body never quite recovering from the aggressive treatment, but she was alive. She returned to work part-time at Riverside Elementary, though she couldn't manage full shifts anymore. They still talked twice a week. Lily visited once a month now that she knew the truth, wanting to spend as much time with Rosa as possible. They never spoke about the scholarship or what it had cost. That remained a silent understanding between them. By senior year, Lily was at the top of her class. Her professors encouraged her to pursue a master's degree, but Lily had other plans. She wanted to start teaching immediately, to start making a difference in kids' lives the way Rosa had made a difference in hers. She applied to dozens of schools and received several offers, but there was only one place she really wanted to teach. In March, she got a call from Principal Davidson. "We have an opening for a second-grade teacher at Riverside. I know you've had other offers, probably at schools with better pay, but I wanted you to know the position is yours if you want it." Lily didn't hesitate. "I want it." "Good," he said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. Rosa's going to be thrilled, but Lily didn't tell Rosa yet. She had other plans. Graduation was set for May 15th. Lily had been chosen as valedictorian, an honor that meant she'd give a speech to her entire graduating class, their families, and the faculty. When she'd received the news, her first thought had been of Rosa. As she wrote her speech in the weeks leading up to graduation, Lily made a decision. She was tired of keeping secrets, tired of pretending she didn't know what Rosa had done. Rosa had hidden her sacrifice out of love, but Lily wanted the world to know about the most extraordinary person she'd ever known. She ran her plan by Principal Davidson first. He listened carefully, then nodded. "She's going to cry. You know that, right?" "I know," Lily said. "But she deserves to be honored, even if she doesn't think so." Graduation day arrived warm and sunny. Lily wore her cap and gown, the gold honor cords marking her achievements draped around her neck. She looked out into the audience of thousands of people searching for one face. There, 5th row, aisle seat, Rosa wearing a nice dress that Lily had bought her for Christmas, her hair grown back but still thin from the chemo. She looked older than her 59 years, her body bearing the scars of everything she'd endured. But she was smiling, her eyes shining with pride as she watched Lily on the stage. The ceremony proceeded through all the usual elements. The dean spoke. A guest speaker offered inspiring words about the future. Graduates' names were called, and they crossed the stage to receive their diplomas. Then came the valedictorian speech. Lily approached the podium, her prepared remarks folded in her pocket. But she wasn't going to use them. Instead, she pulled out different papers, ones she'd written the night before in a burst of courage and clarity. "Thank you," she began, her voice amplified across the stadium. "When they asked me to give this speech, I spent weeks trying to figure out what to say. What wisdom could I possibly offer? What insights about the future, about success, about making a difference in the world?" She paused, looking directly at Rosa. But I realized I was asking the wrong questions, because the most important thing I've learned in my 4 years here, and in my 22 years of life, didn't come from a textbook or a lecture. It came from a janitor named Rosa. In the audience, Rosa's hand flew to her mouth. Lily saw her shake her head slightly as if asking her not to do this. But Lily continued. "When I was 7 years old, I was a foster kid in my 3rd placement. I had nothing. No family, no stability, no reason to believe that anyone cared whether I existed or not. I would miss the bus on purpose just to avoid going to a house that didn't feel like home." Lily's voice wavered but held strong. "That's when I met Rosa. She was the evening janitor at my elementary school. While everyone else overlooked her, saw her as invisible, she was the first person who truly saw me." Lily told the story, not all of it but enough, about how Rosa had left food in her locker, how she'd helped with homework under flickering hallway lights, how she'd driven 30 minutes after work to tutor a struggling middle schooler at the library, how she'd shown up to every school event, every award ceremony, every moment that mattered. "For 15 years, Rosa has been my mom in every way that matters," Lily continued. "She taught me that family isn't about biology. It's about showing up. It's about love that's proven through action, day after day, year after year." The audience was completely silent, thousands of people hanging on every word. "When I got accepted to this university, I couldn't afford to attend. I had a partial scholarship, but it wasn't enough. I was ready to give up on my dream of becoming a teacher." Lily took a deep breath. This was it, the moment of truth. Then I received notification of an anonymous scholarship, a mysterious gift that covered everything I needed. I thought it was luck. Divine intervention. The universe providing. Rosa was crying now, silently pleading with Lily to stop.